So hopefully everybody can hear me.
Yep. And good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's virtual Meet the Employer event. And today we're featuring Sterling Property Management. And we have with us today Mr. Sean Marks and Ms. Krista Hayward. And they're going to give you a little outline of what the organization does, who they are, what positions they have available, how the hiring process and application process goes. So, Sean,
It's a pleasure to meet you guys. My name is Sean Marks, and I am the founder and the operator of Sterling Property Management, as well as the Sterling Syndicate, which is a number of properties that operate in the real estate space. And we've got a lot of great team members that help us out. Dr. Krista Hayward is one of them. And we're very lucky to have the people on our team that allow us to be able to basically deliver the product to the consumer at the level, speed, and repetition that we do. And it really wouldn't be possible without everybody that is involved. And I'm just kind of the guy that sets the pace and leads the company into the future. But everybody else is really responsible for the day-to-day operations. And those folks are the ones that really make the magic happen. Now, Carrie Ann, in this format, would you like us to just kind of go ahead, or did you have a question and answer format? Or
my thought was, you could present the information that you would like to right now, and at the end we could have a little question and answer session. That way you can, just do your presentation, then we can do the question and answer at the end.
Awesome. That sounds great. So Krista, if you want to just take a second to introduce yourself so that everybody knows who you are.
Sure. So my name is Krista Hayward, and I work with Sean at Sterling Property Management. I have done a lot of the day-to-day office work for Sean and management of our staff here, the team at Sterling Property Management, as well as connections with our clients, investors, and members of our rental community.
Really good. We've got another member of the team that I think is going to log on with us as well. We're all new to Microsoft Teams. We use a number of other systems, but not Microsoft Teams. So you could probably see him somewhere in the background there, preparing his device to be in here with us. So we'll talk a little bit to him later. And he actually has probably the most interesting side of the story. Because he's the one that is responsible for what happens in the field every day. And he's the one that is responsible for kind of being our point man and really the on the boots on the ground exposure to all of the projects. So in this slide that Krista has up right now, this is probably one of the most pivotal and key developments in the city of Elmira. Currently, this one is called Clemens Square. And in the top photograph, what you see there at the top is a new 54-unit apartment building that was placed there by one of the stakeholders, Park Grove Realty, and some new parking lots in the middle, and then construction of Clemens Square stage there in the bottom of the top photograph. And then in the bottom part of that photograph, you see the completed work of Clemens Square and the stage and the string lighting. And then I own all those buildings there to the right-hand side of that photograph. And this is kind of where we're moving to in the future. We work primarily in the residential space, which we'll see more of in a couple of our slides here. But this is kind of the next level of having impact in the community that we are moving towards, in that, especially in times like this with the coronavirus kind of decimating our social structures and restaurants being at half capacity or less, having outdoor public spaces like this is something that we kind of thought about back in 2016 and just kind of really segued into this new era of social interaction in a way that we didn't see coming, but that kind of landed perfectly. So that kind of tells you a little bit about how each of us should really focus on following our intuition and participating in the things that we believe to have value on a daily basis, even if you cannot see where that's going to lead. The incremental steps of just taking positive action each day is exactly what led us to what you see there in those photographs. When we started, it was a scenario where everybody thought we were crazy. It was a bunch of vacant lots. It was a bunch of ran down, broken up concrete and overgrown grass and weeds. And now, as you can see, the vision has come together, really based on just the fact that we had faith that it would eventually someday become something. So I think that that's a good lesson for all of us to really keep near and dear to us, is just keep taking the steps. And if you're taking positive steps and you believe in what you're doing day to day, it's certainly going to pan out for you into the future in ways that you never imagined.
So I would just add that this is part of the Downtown Revitalization Program, and one of the things that Sterling Property Management had the thought to be involved with was projects that were helping to bring communities into downtown spaces. This is really probably the largest project to be developed in downtown Elmira, and we're working with all the other organizations and companies in this area to create a walkable downtown.
Yeah, certainly. That is probably one of the most vital points, I would say, when you're talking about the value proposition of what this project is, and what we need, I believe, as a community, is to be able to come together, have walkable spaces, and have places where individuals from the community are networking and interacting with each other, so that the opportunities that come from relationship building have a place to be cultivated in the beginning. They say quite often that your net worth, or that your network is your net worth. So anytime that we can bring people in the community together so that we all know each other, know the strengths and what it is that we have to provide each other, certainly will lead us all forward in a positive capacity.
I completely agree with you, Sean.
I'm glad to hear that. On the residential side, so what you're looking at here is you're looking at one of our Elmira Heights properties that is in that photograph. It's under construction, but it is quite a ways away, or quite a ways down the line of the construction. So, basically, this is what we do day to day. When Sean, the other Sean, jumps in on the conversation, he'll talk to you a little bit about what it's like to be out in the field, to be the point man on running a job like the one that you see here, how we choose our colors, what properties we pick and which ones we pass on, and kind of what this means to the people in the neighborhood, and the people that live in the property subsequently. So this one here wasn't a bad house. We picked these properties based on the fact that they've got good bones. When you look at this one, you look at the corners of the property, you look at the jet outs along the sides of the building, and what you're looking for is you're looking for the property to be plumb and square. You want the walls of the property to be very straight up into the air, and you want to be able to see something and have a vision of what that will look like. So the part of this thing that I'm good at is that when I look at that white house on the right-hand side, I automatically see that blue house on the left-hand side. It's just the way that my brain is wired, or what I've learned to do. And in order to take that property from what it looks like on the right-hand side and get it to what it looks like on the left, took us about 6.5 hours and about $800. So when you're being very intentional and when you're being very focused on what it is that the value that you're providing, you get very good at being able to do it fast and very cost effectively. So that change right there for $800 in less than a full day was something that the neighbors were just like astounded by. And it's just because we got used to using paint sprayers, and we got used to using other tools and tricks of the trade that help us. So if you look at that blue house and you see those white dots, along the second story windows, those are the spots where our ladders were placed. And of course, you can't spray, where your ladder is leaning up against the house. So we finished spraying that, then went back with a roller and cleaned up those marks. In the next slide, what you're seeing is a kitchen renovation, as well as an architectural enhancement. So this house is in West Elmira. It's in a very predominant neighborhood where all of the other properties are very finished, very polished. And of course, this one, as you can see, was not. So this was kind of the worst property on the block. And our version of adding value to this property was to go a little above and beyond. Sean, who is in the background here, did all of those floors. Obviously, you see the guy can make magic happen, which is really cool. I did the design on this. So as you can see in the top picture, the ceiling was just flat, straight across. And we figured out some very creative ways to be able to cut that ceiling out and coffer it, build the soffit down, and then utilize the chimney, which used to be covered in plaster, utilize that as an architectural feature in the kitchen. So over time, these are the things that we have learned to become proficient at. And the people that actually rent this property from us now came here directly from China. They work at Corning Incorporated in an executive capacity, and they rent this property for a couple of $1,000s a month. And I probably can't give out all the details of that, but just to kind of give you a little bit of an overview, we bought this property for around $40,000, put in about another $40,000, so we're at about $80,000, and the lease that I signed with Corning Incorporated was about the same. So you can see that this business can be very lucrative when you get into it, when you learn how to play the numbers, when you learn how to work well with a team. And these are the things that we partner together with the staff and the subcontractors of Sterling Property Management to be able to provide this type of service and this level of quality to people who are looking for quality housing here in our community.
Sean, and if you don't mind me just coming in, but this is also where you bring in, employees to do this reconstruction, to bring in, that skilled labor and trades in to be able to make these remarkable changes.
Yeah, without a doubt. And so that's probably the most impressive piece of the puzzle. On this project, we had a little over 20 people that worked on this project. And all of those people, of those 20, they were all directly employed by us. And then on top of that, we had another half dozen individuals that were subcontractors that were employed by other companies that we hired in. But Sean Steinhauer, being the maintenance coordinator and the one that really runs the teams out there, is responsible for all of the people that come and go on a job site like this. And so when you look at these pictures, you had a demo crew that did the most simple piece of it, in that they just came in, they looked at the walls that had spray painted markers on them, and they tore them down, right? They hauled them out, they put them into our dumpsters outside, and then they were gone. And then we also have individuals that came in here and did things as highly skilled as cutting all of the different measurements and the angles necessary to be able to build those coffers in the ceiling, which surprisingly enough actually takes a lot of math and a lot of trial and error to get them right so that they line up on all sides perfectly. So there are opportunities. When you see a picture like this, it may just look like construction, but there are opportunities that Krista will talk to you a little bit about, which are the office type opportunities. And she will tell you a little bit about how much actually goes into taking the photograph on the top and making it into the photograph on the bottom from an at the desk perspective in the office.
I would just reiterate what Sean said about the different roles and responsibilities. Sterling Property Management does employ a number of highly skilled technicians. But we also hire people who perform accessory roles, who are hands on the ground for us in terms of demolition teams, being able to keep our workspaces clean, fill in other roles, and be of assistance to the people who are technically trained.
Yeah, certainly. And Krista, if you could kind of walk them through what it looks like from the service request into the final billing.
Yeah, so when we get a property like this, the project is broken down into a number of different steps. So there'll be a demolition work order, there'll be plumbing work orders, electrical work orders, and all of those will have itemized labor costs and product costs or costs for the supplies. And each one of those is filled or is completed at various time points. So, you know, we have to make sure the plumbing and the electrical are done before the drywall goes up. All of that, sorry, there's a little bit of feedback. All of that is organized inside the office. We maintain the costs. The office is in charge of tracking the expenses and making sure that the overall project stays on time and on budget.
Some of that feedback may be if you're in the same room, one of you may want to just mute your microphone until it's your turn. That will cause that feedback.
Yeah, I think that we got that.
Hey, it happens all the time.
Very good. Sean, if you could also turn your
Turn what? I don't. Volume's off.
Microphone, it should be where
Everything.
toolbar is. Or I can do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
Yep.
Was there anything else that you wanted me to add, Sean? Oh, maybe.
How about the process of working with vendors?
Oh, so Sean did mention that we had some contractors that helped on this project. So we identify the specific areas that we need outside assistance, and then we put those jobs out to bid, and they will bring their own teams in and complete whatever the specified task is. We work with a number of contractors in the area. We work with painters, drywallers, and we do that on a bid process, and it goes in as part of the work order for that particular job. Is there something else you wanted me to say about contractors?
No, I think that that's good. I just needed time to be able to relocate to another office in the buildings. No, I did that. I think we're good. I'm here with our Zen Buddha in the sign shop. So one of the things that we realize that is pretty important for us as a company is branding. So rather than to outsource these things, since we also own a number of other companies, one of them happens to be a printing company. So we have a small shop here in the office that puts our branding on everything from T-shirts to mouse pads to keychains and all kinds of other fun stuff to make sure that there are people in the community that recognize our logos and recognize our brand. So it's pretty interesting when you look at all the different dynamics that go into a vertically integrated company, which is something that's pretty rare in today's society. Most companies are very specialized and are not general, but we actually do just about every piece of the puzzle in-house. So we do all kinds of stuff here in the building. We do all of our own branding. We do all of our own.
I'll join you because my computer's crashed.
Oh, look at this. He decided to join us because his computer crashed. So that's one thing that we don't do in the house. We do not do IT. If anybody knows a good IT person, Sean might need them so his computer can stay up. But yeah, so when you're looking at our organization and you're looking at other vertically integrated organizations, it's really important to be able to look at the dynamic scope of all of the components that go into making the organization go. So we're a real estate company, but we also have graphic designers. You know, we're a real estate company, but we also need copywriters that create the advertisements and create the content for websites and for online presence. So that's one thing that's really neat in today's society is that, you know, you can have a graphic designer right next to a carpenter. Both people work for the same company, but have entirely different types of jobs that they do to make that company move forward.
We also have bookkeeping, and we also have showing agents as well.
Yeah, certainly, without a doubt. What's our next slide?
You know, like maintenance of, you know, properties, groundskeepers and whatnot as well, correct?
Yeah, certainly. We'll let Sean talk to you a little bit about what it looks like to be new to the organization, because I think that that's a very important perspective. It's easy for somebody like me to talk about what we do and to skip over a lot of things that are important to other people because I've been doing it for 20 years. And it's a much different perspective to run alongside of a train and to try to jump on board while it's already moving. And that's kind of what you guys experience out in the job field, is that, you know, the train is already moving and you're kind of trying to hitch your car to it. And it can be very difficult to make the transition, especially when you decide to try and transition into a company that is a fast-paced or a high-growth company. So I'll turn this one over to Sean for a minute. He'll talk to you just a little bit about what it was like to join the organization, and maybe a couple of the challenges and what he is looking for when he is looking to hire people out in the field.
Hello, I'm Sean, maintenance coordinator here at Sterling. Yes, I joined the company probably 10 years ago, just as a flooring installer. That was it. Back then, just working for Sean. And just recently, probably a year and a half ago, I came as maintenance coordinator. So our day-to-day is kind of tough because we aren't just doing construction and renovations. We also have to manage the 100 plus units that we have already. So every time something breaks, we got to be able to disperse somebody over to a house. And normally when we're looking to hire somebody, that is a skilled tradesman, but also has kind of a know-how of general maintenance in case they got to fix a furnace or a hot water tank, so on and so forth.
So let me ask you a question, Sean. And when it comes to that, you know, if you had the choice to take somebody that that did not like to follow instructions and did not like to be a team player, but had a lot of construction background, would you choose that person over the person who was a team player and was a quick learner?
Probably the quick learner and the team player, because here we're just looking to build the team and build the people and build the community. So
yeah, so probably I could tell you guys from a managerial perspective, one of the things that I hear from the field quite often is how frustrating that it can be when he is trying to manage, you know, 10 people, and 3 out of those 10 people want to be the horses that are bucking around and running out of the stables, which makes it very difficult to be able to coordinate in a meaningful way so that we can get the job done fast and probably you know, allow people to have a good time also in what they're doing. Here in this slide, it kind of tells you probably a lot. You know, would you agree that these are the things that you're probably looking for out there in the field?
Yeah.
And Sean, when you look at these items, you know, if you could maybe just go through them one by one and kind of give us an example of kind of where that's necessary if people are going to be working for you out there in the field?
Well, normally I'm not with them on maintenance calls, or sometimes I have to leave the job to do the maintenance calls. So if they think for their own, like on their feet to get a job done, or manage their time effectively, if I leave and they gotta be working, they can't be just standing around and trying to just milk the clock all day.
Yeah, certainly. So that's one thing that is pretty big out there in the field, and I think probably in all fields, but in construction, when you're in an independent situation, it's very easy to find yourself distracted. It's very easy to find yourself in a place where integrity is very important because there's nobody there watching you. It's not like being in a warehouse where there's 10 supervisors around and everybody has their eye on you and they can keep you going. You kind of have to keep yourself going. And being resourceful, there's a lot of different ways to get the job done, not just one. And so we really appreciate it when people are resourceful in the way that they figure out how to get things done. And certainly, obviously, working as part of a team is the greatest necessity in order to be able to execute these tasks that we're doing each day.
I would also
Did you have
say one of the points I would make about managing your time effectively is that when you've completed a project, that's when it's time to communicate that with the office, and then we can move you on to the next project.
Yeah, certainly. We know that's something that we work hard to make sure that we're efficient in every day. If that's a good way of saying we mess that up often and we try to get it right. There are always challenges, no matter how polished your company looks, no matter how established your company looks, there are always challenges that you're facing day in and day out, especially when you're a small to medium-sized company that doesn't have layers and layers and layers of oversight of basically checks and balances.
We also want people to have a good work ethic, and part of what that means is making sure that you're at the job site on time, that you're not on the phone, that you're bringing positivity to the job site when you're working with the rest of the team. So we want people to have those good work habits.
Yeah, and I think the last thing I would probably like to add about team members when it comes to the other positions. So Sean is a maintenance coordinator, but trust me, he is welcoming of anybody else that would like to coordinate and take some of that caseload off of his plate because his position is dynamic. He is one of the only people in the company that has both an office and a field position. So Krista's position would be primarily in the office. My position would be primarily in the office and in the field and investor relations and sourcing new acquisitions. But Sean is one of the only people and the lifeline between the office and what is happening on the ground. So he has the responsibility of making sure that both the company and its staff are connected in a meaningful way. And so he is basically the channel of communication between the front lines and us here. So it's a very, very important position and a pivotal role that requires leadership skills, organizational skills, and really the ability to be able to learn very quickly, adapt very quickly, and deal with high levels of stress.
And also different personality types.
Oh, a million personality types, that's for sure.
And I think that's very important for individuals to recognize. You may be a team player, but you have those times of working independently. You have to be able to collaborate and be both, and being on time and being able to work effectively with diverse coworkers.
Yeah, certainly. Those are the value propositions from the technician and from the employee's side, that when they're providing that, the employer can certainly work with everything else, right? So if you're there, if you're showing up, if you're trying, if your attitude is there and you're willing to learn, we can basically make anything else happen as long as those core attributes are present. Sterling Property Management really uses these three core values in everything that we do. The biggest one that you're going to hear is attention to detail, because it's so easy to not have attention to detail, and having it is the attribute that really changes the level of quality that you're able to put out. So the better quality that we put out, the more people enjoy our units. And it really has a pretty intense impact on individuals that live in our units, because obviously if where you live is something that is bringing positivity to you, if it's making you comfortable, it's making you proud. When you bring your friends over, your friends are proud of where you live. You know, it really changes your overall morale and attitude, and it increases your quality of living. And that quality of living, pretty much, I would say, is at the core of where your level of success is going to come from. Because when you feel good and your mind is in a clear place and you feel safe, and all of those things are present, it allows you to be able to open your mind into new experiences like learning and other forms of education, and even dreaming, right? So if we're in a depressed place, or even living in a place that is depressing, it's very hard to keep our dreams alive, and it's difficult to keep our mind flowing in a positive and creative place. So paying attention to detail means all of those things to us, and that's why we do it. Integrity, that one speaks for itself. You know, we certainly have to do what we say that we're going to do, and we do that by executing, right? So if we execute with attention to detail, then our integrity is always going to be impeccable, and people will continue to hire us for decades into the future. No, it's okay. Yeah, certainly, right? So our reputation depends on how successfully we achieve those values. So does anybody have any specific questions for us in real estate, construction, property management, or branding?
I would like to ask a couple of questions as far as, you know, what would the general population in looking for a position with Sterling Property Management, where would they go to find that information? Or could you tell us some of the roles that you may be hiring for right now? And, you know, what do those roles consist of?
Yeah, certainly. So great question. So we're a private company, and the way that we conduct ourselves, because we're really like a family, right? We conduct ourselves in a manner, we don't advertise publicly, we don't post our jobs publicly, and we actually don't even really participate in the buying and selling of real property publicly, even though we're licensed to do so. And we will, but it's just not our primary focus. We really want the relationships that we have with individuals that come into our organization to be personable and to be well matched. So the way that you would make your way into Sterling Property Management is that we are open for shadowing 24/7, right? So every property that we build, we will bring people in. We will let people see how we're doing the process, what it is that we're creating, how we're creating it. Our office is open, so individuals can come into our office and learn what it is that we're doing. We have an abundance mindset, and so although a lot of the stuff that we do is proprietary, we believe that our execution and our other core values, our personalities, and the relationships that we have built far outweigh any chance that somebody may come into our organization, steal what we're doing, and take it and recreate it. So, you know, we don't have any trouble sharing with anyone. And some of the things that we're hiring for, we're always hiring for all positions. And the reason for that is that our company is built on a primary structure of repetition. So essentially, we need X amount of people for X amount of units. And if we want to increase the number of units that we have, we just increase the number of people in those positions. And since our investors and internally, we're always looking to grow, we certainly take that opportunity to always add on additional property managers, add on additional real estate agents, additional office staff, additional contractors. You know, from a vocational standpoint, The blue collar work is probably where we hire at the most rapid pace. So individuals that are in the trades, we're hiring them every single day, literally every single day. And those that are in the office, we are open to intern, and we are open to shadow people every day. The likelihood of us hiring at the same volume in the office is obviously much less than in the field. However, it would not be outrageous to think that, we could put on an additional 10 to 20 people per year in our organization from an office perspective. And certainly we collaborate in some form of independent contractor status with over 100 people, 100 additional people each year. So if that answers that question.
It does. Thank you, Sean. Because I'm well aware of, your company and what Sterling Property Management does. I think it's really amazing when you post on your social media those contractors, those independent laborers or painters, whatever the case may be, doing that work and actually bringing it home to the community. So I really think that the shadowing internships are a really good point for individuals in the community, because sometimes they don't, I want to do this, but I'm not sure, it's really my cup of tea. So
Right.
having that option and that opportunity, I think is really good for everybody.
Yeah,
It
and
allows us to get a sense of where people's skill sets are and direct them to the appropriate position in the company.
yeah, without a doubt. And I would also say that we're not jealous in the way that we like to provide value. And so coming here, even if you have no intention of working here, is okay. Coming here and learning a different dialect to an office position, the way that we do things, is okay. So one thing that I think that is really important that we do, and I wish everybody did, is that they kind of just open their doors to people to be able to learn all of the different ways that things can get done. And that's one thing we really pride ourselves on, is that we have that open door policy. And if any of you guys ever want to come in, maybe you don't want to work in this industry, maybe you have no intention of coming to work with us, but just to get that experience as to how an organization that is pushing on goals like $1 million a month in rent roll is operating from the place that we are now, and then looking at us again in 10 years and realizing the growth that we've had. You can look back and say, hey, I was in that office when it was a 5-person office, and now it's a 50-person office, and you'll be able to tell that story and have that perspective.
I would reiterate what Sean just said, because coming in and trying out something very new, this is very different from my educational background, certainly teaches you a different mindset when solving problems or interacting with different types of people.
Yeah, certainly.
Well, and I think it's important for people to understand, especially with COVID and the pandemic going on right now, as far as that adaptability, that flexibility, that transferring of skills, because things are the new norm, if you will, and just are changing that direct one-on-one contact, and to be able to do what we're doing right now and have it work effectively. So, I mean, that, again, the adaptability, sorry about my voice, flexibility is imperative in every industry, I believe. So, Devontae, Jessica, Lindsay, do any of you have any questions for Sterling Property Management?
I don't at this time. Go ahead.
Okay.
Jessica, you look like a question asker.
Me? Well, Carrie Ann.
Yes.
I can't think of any right now, other than it does sound like you have an abundance amount of growth potential, it sounds like, in different areas, as far as the ability to, I want to try this or that, and maybe that doesn't fit for me. So I'm just trying to think of the puzzle, the way it's fitting for people.
It is certainly a puzzle. That is a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that can see the puzzle completed. And
Yeah.
Sean and Krista and all of the other members of our organization constantly are challenged with me looking at the puzzle saying, isn't it so incredibly clear? I mean, look at it, right? And they're like, no, it's not. And I don't see it. And I don't know if you're crazy or if it's actually real.
Right.
But this piece doesn't fit here, Sean. Yes, it does, right? Or it will. You know,
I know.
go ahead.
I was a painter a long time ago, and so I can understand, looking at something and saying, I don't know if that color is going to match right, or something's not going to fit correctly. But then you put the color on, and it's like, oh wow, that really makes that room pop. So I think it's just a matter of how you make things fit and how it makes things, come alive, or however you want to say that. It tells a story after a while.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Another thing I would.
Lindsay.
Hi, I'm just shadowing today. I'm from Allegheny County, and I'm just hoping to be able to offer this service to some of our local employers. So any advice you have for me there would be great.
Yeah. So you're shadowing Carrie Ann?
Yeah, basically. We don't have a lot of large employers in this county. I don't even know if you've heard of us, but definitely with COVID, we need to adapt to be able to offer our services still.
Yeah, so I can answer that one. And so I think that kind of taking the lemons and making the lemonade, kind of taking the problem that we have and using this problem to create a solution that is actually forward thinking. So right now, just about every employer is facing all of the same trouble that everybody else is, right? And so because of that, things like marketing and spending marketing dollars right now is something that's not happening. So if you can't spend marketing dollars and you can't get your name out to the public, that doesn't seem like a very big deal when the economy is shut down and you can't work. But the difference in marketing is that you need to have your brand in front of people consistently, month after month after month, with about 6 to 8 touches of your brand in order for them to do business with you. So if you're missing out on the entire 2020 of marketing because you don't want to spend the money to reach your client base because you can't get the job right away, then what that's going to do is it's actually going to push your 2021 into 2022, because now they're starting to do work again. Now they're starting to post pictures of their work or their product or their food. And so that marketing capacity has been lost. And so there's actually going to be a wave of people who are going to be missing out on all of their 2021 clients because they didn't court them in 2020. So I would say that using this platform right here as a way to continuously have a low to no cost ability to be able to talk to people. And then I would also say that when you're talking to your small companies, to encourage them to have a digital takeaway. So if there was a situation where you could have a digital takeaway, like for instance, maybe you would have some files that could be emailed, or you could have some type of contest or some type of fun homework that may result in gift cards or something like that. I would say that in my experience, now that I've done this with you guys, had I done one before, the next one that I do, I will have a digital takeaway for you that would say like, if you guys complete ABC, then I will give you referral credits or send you gift cards. And I would try to weaponize you guys as a methodology to be able to go out into the community, tell people what you just heard here, and then be rewarded for that. And that would be a way that I could continue my marketing in a time like this. So I would say that kind of suggesting that to your small businesses might spark a little bit of creativity in their mind so that they would be a lot more eager, energetic, and capable of doing one of these, Zoom calls or I guess we're in Microsoft Teams calls more effectively.
Sean, I'm just going to stop you right there real quick. I want to continue our conversation, but we'll do it off of recording. Okay.
Sure.
But I would like, so please stay on when I stop recording. Please, Krista, Sean, and Sean. Thank you so much for taking the time to come here today and just put what you do out to the community and explain to us, how those roles play together in the big picture of the organization. And you do tremendous work in the community, and Columbia Square is gorgeous. So that definitely is something to be proud of. And I know you are. So I just want to thank you for coming and doing our virtual Meet the Employer. So I'm just going to stop recording, and then we'll continue our conversation.
Thank you.